All right, regular season is on us. We are about ready to travel, and senior interviews finished up today with All World Danae Daron. All World. I got to say this before we get started. All y'all probably know this already, but Danae is one of the nicest people you could ever chat with. I'm serious. I can't. Danae probably does get mad at people, but I've never seen it. She's always so nice. Let me ask. Let's go backwards a little bit, okay? Would you say that last year playing there in Gregory Gym in the NCAA tournament was like your highlight, or is there some other thing you remember more than being an NCAA ace?
I mean, yeah, that was a great game. It felt amazing just to be there and actually to keep up with them. Like, that was just awesome to me. But honestly, to me, my highlight was the actual conference tournament playing UCA because there was just so much, like, built up, like, intensity. Like, we were just like, okay, we got to get out there, we got to win because we haven't won. So it was like, it's time.
And it was time, and you got the MVP too in that too. So what's the one thing actually when we all got to Austin? You know, when we everybody's in the hotel, we're driving over for practice. Like, is there a couple memories that like stick out of actually being there?
Honestly, everyone was just like, we were just so shocked, like, wow, we're really here. Like, this is what it feels like to play here. Like, we always watch them on TV, and it's just like, now we get to be those people on TV, like, playing in this gym. And I was just, like, so excited to play against, like, such great players.
Well, speaking of great accolades, the first time ever in SFA volleyball history, National AVCA Player of the Week. And we talked about that the week that you won it, but I want to know like how you found out.
Honestly, I had no clue about this. And then I get a text message from Charlie, our media guy, and he was like, hey, congrats. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, for what? And then after that, I just started getting messages after messages, and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
There were you can't hardly even overstate how much light that shined on SFA. There were people at Austin that asked me about that. There were the number of emails and questions that Charlie and people like myself got week after week after that went way up. So, how does that kind of make you feel about having that much light and positive things reflect on the program because the whole nation sees stuff like that.
It also, honestly, it felt like amazing because it's like little old me can bring so much attention to like Nacogdoches. Like, a lot of people don't think of SFA when they think of volleyball of top teams, and so the fact that people were actually looking at us, actually watching our games. After that, I had so many random people like inboxing me saying like, "Hey, like I love watching you play," and I'm just like, it just felt so good.
I had some relatives that just loosely keep up with volleyball, and they saw that, and they emailed me and texted me about that. You know, players don't usually get caught up on individual numbers when you're trying to win championships, when you're trying to follow up a year like we had last year. But you do have a really good chance of finishing in the all-time block leaders here at SFA. If you have a season similar to one you've had, you'll finish in the top five. You may even finish second all-time in total blocks. The thing I want to ask you is, there's a lot of good volleyball players. But in your mind, when you try to go from good to great, like what's the difference between somebody that's just good and somebody that's great?
Honestly, being coachable. Because before I got here, I thought I was one of the best players ever, and then I got here and I was like, oh, I'm just average. And just like wanting to come in the gym and get better every single day, listening to what the coaches are saying, actually trying to like put that into play, like when we're playing other people. I think that's really huge. And honestly, just like having confidence, because I know coming in and there was like a senior middle, and she was like great, like doing like all the kills, all the blocking, and just like having to come up there, I'm getting maybe 5 kills, and it was kind of like discouraging at first. But I was like, hey, like I'm gonna be here 3 more years, so I'm gonna have to be her, and so I might have to come in the gym and like work as hard as I can so I can get to that point.
You think being coachable is something that you can kind of help newcomers with? Because I talked to this about Corinne. It's like every one of you is kind of the deal when you were in club and in high school. Is coachability something, and now that you're a senior, that you see, hey, I got to pull some freshmen aside, I got to pull some newcomers aside, and get them to realize that's the difference between being good and great?
Honestly, yes. And I think I really got to experience that a lot being out with my shoulder injury because I'm on the sideline a lot. So I was able to pull them aside, say, hey, this is what I see because I'm not on the court, but I can show you what you don't know that you're doing, or what I feel like will help you get better at what like our position is and stuff. So I feel like I had to like step into a coaching role, if you want to say, like being an upperclassman, being like the top middle. Like I had to like teach the ones that were coming in so that they can like get on board and be on the same page with us.
I noticed that even before two-a-days started, we were in here for some things back in the summer, and you were here with the shoulder, and you were pulling Rita aside, pulling Taya aside, pulling other gals aside, and kind of giving them, seeing when their spacing was right or when they were too fast or too slow. That's something that seems to come natural to you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not all about me. I can't be the only one out there doing everything, so I have to sometimes rely on other people because sometimes I might not have a good game. But if I can help anyone else have a great game, then we still win. Because at the end of the day, it's about being a team, winning, and like reaching our goals. It's not just about me. So
That's one of my favorite phrases of all time. It's not about you. I've actually got that phrase up on the door of my office. And people think, oh, I have that up there so students will see. But I have that up there so I'll see it. I have that up there so when I walk in the office every day, I'll remind myself of exactly what you say. You know, life's really not about you. Some of the other players in the team, I think it's obvious, have mentioned that your leadership style is one that's vocal. What do you think are the pros and the cons of that? Like, are there ever times when you kind of step back and go, whoa, I might have been a little too vocal on that one?
yeah, honestly, being a very competitive leader is where that kind of kicks in because I don't like losing. Even if it's in practice and we're just playing a little game, I don't want to lose, period. And so I feel like sometimes I can be a little aggressive to like people who are like more quiet and to themselves. But at the same time, a lot of people do want that from me because a lot of people feel like they work harder when people are hard on them, when people are like, hey, like do this right now. Like that's what I need you to do to me. So I have to learn how to kind of do that with different people.
You also have a chance this year. It'd take a really strong output, but you could do it. You're going to come close to 1,000 kills for a career, and there's a short list of people that have done that here. What do you think is the number one thing that's different about your offensive game now than when you're a freshman? What's the most improved offensive thing that you've been able to add to your repertoire?
I'm definitely smarter because I feel like as a freshman.
In terms of knowing about shots?
Oh, yeah, because coming as a freshman, I was like, I just want to get kills. I just want to get points on the board. And so I would just go in and just hit the ball, and there's going to be a big block in front of me. And then it's like, oh, well, there it goes. So I really had to learn how to, like, actually tip a ball. Like, you don't just get kills from swinging super hard as you can. Sometimes you have to be smart and outplay the other players on the side. So I feel like that's really, like, gotten better over the years, like, learning the court.
That seems like something that every year when I come in here before the first tournament and watch the freshmen and transfers, that pretty much they're kind of in different spots, but pretty much every single newcomer to D1 volleyball that was an attacker, an offensive-minded player, struggles with that. They all struggle with that. They all feel like they can hit everything through a brick wall. Do you see that?
Oh, definitely. And I know, like, going through club in high school, I didn't see as big blocks as I do right now, coming from, like, a smaller team. But getting here and seeing these girls, like, all in my face, I'm like, hey, I got to swing around them so that I don't get embarrassed in front of everybody.
You know, one thing that a lot of athletes talk to me about is Adler and Elisa are over here. Hey, we can get you on camera, too, by the way. One of the things that a lot of athletes talk to me about by the time they're senior years that, hey, they condition totally different. They eat totally different. They pay more attention to sleep. They have a better school life, social, volleyball balance. Do you feel like that's true for you too?
Kind of. I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. But honestly, after my surgery, I had to because just not being able to play and work out like everyone else, I was, getting a little heavy, and it's like not working out, so like all that was like weighing down on me, so I had to eat healthier and like drink more water and things like that. And then also making sure I do get rest because I can go to sleep at 9 o'clock and be fine now. But back in the day, I would go to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning and then have 6 o'clock weights and be like, oh, well, here we are. So
yeah, that I can't believe that whole 6 o'clock weights thing. I mean, I noticed on the first day of class the freshmen are doing 6 o'clock weights. Yeah, man. So when you look back, when was volleyball first a thing for you? I mean, did you pick up the game in high school, junior high? Before that, when did you first pick up a volleyball?
Honestly, I picked it up probably like 8 or 9 because like my sister played club, and so I would always go to her practices and her little individual things and all her games and just like try to play. But I actually started club. I want to say my seventh grade year, and from there I just kind of went on.
So was it always favorite sport, or were there sports that were just as favorite as volleyball when you first started?
Oh, I was in love with track. I did summer track. I did track all the way up to my senior year in high school. But after that, it was like, yeah, straight volleyball because I can't do both in college. It was going to be way too much for my body.
So what track events did you do when you were in high school?
I ran the 4x1, the 4x2, open 200, and sometimes 100.
Anything you can kind of remember on conditioning difference? I mean, do you feel like the track days helped with the volleyball stuff?
Oh, definitely. Like my freshman year, I feel like I was way more athletic than I am right now. I was slimmer than I was, and like I was so much faster. I think just like conditioning all the time, doing sprints, just like being stronger, and then getting here. Like yeah, we work out super hard, but I don't feel like it's as much running, obviously. But yeah, I feel like that definitely made a difference.
I think most people that know you or have read bio or kept up know a little bit about your family. You have an older sister, Ariel. She goes by Ari, who played here. Ari was playing about during the time that I went from being fan to actually working for the team. And I was thinking about this, and I thought, wait, would I have met Danae when she was a kid? Like, did you come to SFA volleyball games to watch Ari?
Came to
I can't believe, I can't believe I never talked to you about that. So you were here all that time?
I was watching my sister play.
Well, see that and me over back in Johnson Coliseum, right?
Coliseum, yeah.
Okay. See that just blows my mind. I don't know why I hadn't thought about that, but I thought, well, probably Danae was sitting up there in the stands, little tot, Gosh, all that does is prove that I've been here too long, too old. So what you talked to me off camera about that you had talked to her about kind of comparing the two of you. So what did she say? What do you say about similarities and differences between how y'all evaluate each other, differences in y'all's game?
Well, she was definitely quicker than I am, but I will definitely say I'm probably a little more strong. I feel like she had a little bit more ball control than me too, playing right side and middle. And then like I feel like as they kind of trained me to being a right side, my ball control has gotten a little bit better. But other than that, I pretty much think like they're the same. I feel like she was very athletic though.
I do remember her as very athletic. I think, she was a dynamic player too, but I just think just the overall athleticism and you, I just think of you as such a dynamic player. Let's talk a little bit about family in general, because we do see a lot of your family here in the gym. They're very supportive of you. Just let me give you a moment to kind of give a shout out to them, what they've kind of meant to you, especially senior year. We have a long road of volleyball before senior night, but I'm positive that your family will be here, and that will be awesome. So give a shout out and just talk to folks that are watching this about what family means to you and having them here.
Family literally means everything to me, just the support, because I know there's a lot of people whose parents don't come to the games or they can't make it, like Ariana, whose family is all the way in Puerto Rico. Like, I couldn't imagine not having my mom here at least sometimes, or just to be there to cheer me on with my good games, my bad games, just like being there supporting me, even when we're out of town, not even just all the home games, just like traveling to different states and stuff. That means everything to me. And like, I know that I'll always have like a support team, because they'll come with all their shirts on and their pom-poms, and you can hear them in the stands and with their names on their back, and I just love them so much. So thank y'all so much for everything and taking up with my, sassiness and all that stuff over the years. But yeah.
I think you get your great personality from them. I always notice, when you're somebody who works on the sidelines, you always notice when parents or sisters or relatives or boyfriends or just classmates or former players come talk to you. And your parents have always been so sweet to me, so nice to me. They always address me. They always, I don't need to be included in everything, but according to your parents, it's like I'm included in everything. And all the feels, man. Your parents are great. Let's talk about, okay, so if we can flash forward, boop, and we're not in 2019, we're in 2020, 2022. What is Danae Daron doing 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now?
Well, actually, I plan on moving to California. Really? Yeah, because I'm going to move in with my husband. He's in the Marines at Camp Pendleton. So from there, I'm probably going to apply for a nursing school and probably like work at the hospital on base and just try to start my life.
People, since you brought, a lot of people may not remember you were proposed to on this floor. I remember that night, freshman year. And so let me end with that. Has he been out in California this whole time, or has he moved around a little bit during the time you've been in NAC?
No, he actually just came back from Japan. He was in Japan for like 2 years, and then he came back over the summer and for a couple, maybe like a month or so, and then he left to go back to California. Still will go to California. He wasn't already there.
So any chance when you get out there to California and you're with him that every once in a while you'll sneak out there and dominate on the real beach?
I'm thinking about it. You know, I got to make some friends out there first, but
there's some serious volleyball going on the beaches of California. That is so cool. Danae Daron in action. Hey, we only have one more practice, and then they take off. They'll be headed over there. Tomorrow morning, right?
Yep.
Okay, so they leave out tomorrow morning. I'll leave out tomorrow night. All the matches this weekend are on radio. We've got UTSA. They were formerly in the Southland Conference. That's a pretty good club. And then Bradley, who was one of the most improved teams in NCAA D1 last year, and then SMU, the host, always a very well-coached team. So 3 big tests for SFA this weekend, all of them on radio. Danae will be there. If you're not in Dallas, listen. Danae, thanks so much.
Thank you.